The first thing you're going to do is divide your paper into 9 different spaces, and you're going to do this with lines. Now, I'm using a Sharpie marker because I want it to show up on the video. You need to use a pencil in case you need to erase any marks that you make. So I'm kind of starting 1/3 of the paper down, and I did a zigzag line, and now I'm doing more of a curved line. And then going the opposite way across the paper, I'll do a slightly curved line with a straight ending. And then I'll do one more line to divide my paper up into 9 spaces. So I've got 9 shapes on my paper. And you can do this in a variety of different ways. Each student's will be a little bit different. So you could do it this way with different lines, or you could do it just with straight lines like a grid. Now you're going to learn how to do the gradient technique, which is blending 2 primary colors so there's a secondary color in the middle. So I have my paints ready in my little paint tray, and I'm going to use the primary colors of red and yellow. You could choose any primary colors that you want. I'm just choosing red and yellow so it makes orange in the middle. So the first thing you need to do is take your first primary color, I just chose red, and I'm going to fill in one whole side of the space that I chose. You can choose any space you want. Then I'm going to rinse my brush and add some yellow on the other side. You have to work kind of quickly, otherwise the paint will start to dry pretty quick. And then you're going to blend them in the middle so it creates that nice smooth blending. And you might have to go back over it a couple times to blend it together to create that nice gradient. Now the technique number 2 is sgraffito, and you're going to actually scrape the paint away. And I'm going to first put a layer of just plain water. The water is kind of tinged green. And then I'm going to go on top with my paint color. This is going to help the paint stay wet for a longer period of time, because we want our paint to stay wet for a little bit longer than usual. And once we have our layer of paint down, we need to work pretty quickly and take a cardboard chip, just a small triangle, and you can start making your designs, scraping away the clay. And this is called sgraffito. So I'm just kind of doing a swirly pattern. You can do any kind of design you want. And the third technique that you're going to learn is called the plastic wrap. And with this one, you just need to lay down a fairly thin layer of paint as your background color. And this could be any color. It can be a primary color or a secondary color. And then I'm just going to layer some paint on top. I just chose white. You can choose any color that you'd like. It's helpful if your background color is darker than your foreground color, or the color on top of the background. So I just chose white and putting it on top. And you have to do this fairly quickly. Keep your paint pretty wet. If the paint dries, this technique isn't going to work. So I'm just kind of getting my white paint on top, kind of smudging it in. It doesn't matter which way you do it. We're going to put plastic on top anyways, so it doesn't matter if your brush strokes look kind of crazy. And now I'm going to take a sheet of the plastic wrap or cling wrap, and I'm actually going to put it right on top of the wet paint. And you want it to be kind of crinkly. You don't want it to be totally flat. You want it to crinkle. And make sure you press down the plastic wrap firmly so that it sticks to most of the areas with the wet paint. Try not to move it around too much, otherwise the effect won't work so well. And you want to let this dry, so leave this alone, leave the plastic on the paint. We'll let it dry overnight, and then next class you can peel off the plastic wrap. And you've learned 3 different acrylic painting techniques to use in your abstract painting.